Tears and emotion at the Capitol as parents of school shooting victims plead for lawmakers to take action.
Please hear me out and don't let my daughter's murder mean nothing to you.
Why the powerful testimony happened while many Texans were sleeping, and what's next for the gun safety bills.
There are always differences in the priorities of the Senate and the House for the budget. There's also great alignment.
From school choice to the budget, he's on the front line. We go one-on-one with the senator who's leading the charge on key top priorities for Texas conservatives. A caregiving crisis, why families and advocates of Texans with disabilities are vying for attention at the Capitol as time runs short in the session.
Produced from the Capitol in Austin and airing statewide, this is the award-winning State of Texas.
Hello, and thank you for joining us. I'm Josh Hinkle. Tears and powerful pleas for action marked an emotional hearing that stretched into the early morning hours Wednesday at the state capitol. Families of victims of school shootings in Uvalde and Santa Fe waited more than 12 hours to have their say on gun safety bills in front of a Texas House committee. When they finally got the chance to testify, they sent a strong message to lawmakers.
I don't want you to see what I saw. I saw my 9-year-old daughter draped in a white sheet, cold and alone in the operating room. I saw the wound that took her life. I don't want any of y'all to see that. We need to change these laws.
The bill in question would ban the sale of semi-automatic rifles like the one used in the Uvalde shooting to someone under the age of 21. Capitol reporter Monica Madden covered that hearing. This may have been one of the most emotional testimonies we've seen this session. What was it like to be in that room?
You couldn't just help but feel heavy listening to these parents talk about their children who are no longer here with us. Javier Caceres, who we just heard from, he lost his daughter Jackie and was talking about little things like how she'll never be able to learn how to ride a bike or graduate high school or even fall in love. So really just a heartbreaking reality for these families as they were going over their stories and what they want from lawmakers. And they were making one main plea for lawmakers on a bill that they think would make a meaningful difference in the future.
I don't want you to have to identify your child's body based on what he was wearing to school that day. I don't want any more children to hide under their desks in fear. I don't want any more teachers to worry about how they're going to protect several students at once when they're just one person. So I don't come to you as a Democrat or Republican. I just come to you as a mom, as a parent. Enough is enough. Please do something. Do something now. Don't wait until another community has to go through this.
So I leave you with one thing. Tess didn't have a choice in life or death, but you as leaders have a choice of what my daughter's life will be remembered for. Will she die in vain, or will her life have saved another child, maybe your child? 18 to 21 isn't much to ask. As a grieving mother, I'm begging you to please hear me out and don't let my daughter's murder mean nothing to you.
So as you could hear, Josh, just absolutely gut-wrenching testimony. There were not many dry eyes in that hearing room. And oftentimes we heard really graphic details about how the parents had to identify their children that day. But again, you know, this is their reality, as agonizing as it is. And they were hoping that that testimony would make it through to lawmakers who at some point weren't even making eye contact with these families as they were testifying before the committee.
It was after 10 at night before parents had a chance to testify, and the committees faced some criticism for such a late night of testimony on such an emotional topic. What have you heard about that since the hearing?
Well, we're hearing from several of our Texas congressional delegates who went on social media to criticize this process and how it played out. Congressman Lloyd Doggett, Congressman Joaquin Castro, and Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett all tweeting that they were disappointed in the way this played out and they thought it was unfair to these families. And just to give you some perspective on the legislative side of things, the committee did gavel in at 9 a.m. and then they took a break to go to the House floor for debate on bills. That's really typical. But the bill they were debating, it was unrelated. It ended up being a 6-hour floor debate because Democrats were trying to kill it and there were all these amendments added. So All this time, though, the families were in the hallways just asking me to, even if I knew when it would wrap up, and it just was a long process, and it was emotionally and physically exhausting for those families. Committee started back up around 7:30 and didn't finish until nearly 4 a.m.
So what's happening next with these bills? Are they done?
Well, at least for the age limit bill, it was left pending, which means there is still some slight chance that it could end up making it to the floor. The committee deadline for a bill to get out of committee is on May 8th, and there are some kind of loopholes if that does not happen. But overall, Josh, as we know from previous sessions, when a bill does not make it through this late in the session, it's really difficult to push that through to the final finish line when you have so many other bills going on, and especially when it comes to gun reform and how Republicans have said they feel about it in the past. Speaker Phelan told me this one, just the age limit, does not have the votes.
All right, Monica, thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.
All of these big issues that we have as priorities for the session, education freedom should also be one.
Education, diversity, and the budget. We sit down with a senator on the front line of the fight to push Republican priorities through the Capitol. A renewed effort underway to boost pay for caregivers of some of Texas' most vulnerable.
Without those frontline workers there to take care of them, I mean, you can't provide a home.
We investigate the need and how people most affected are working to get help from Texas lawmakers.